Good morning, Eastern Carolina. I'm Storm Track 12 meteorologist Les Dill here with your Wednesday forecast, and pretty much a repeat of what we've seen the last several days. Now, we have seen a lot of heavy downpours and also lots of lightning. In fact, we're going to kind of break down and explain to you what causes lightning and some of the dangerous forms of lightning. Let's get you started by seeing what I am tracking for the day today. Again, more storms around the area, just like the last several days, heavy downpours, and also lots of lightning. Those are going to be the main threats. Now, as we go on through the next several days, it is going to start to be a potential, not saying it's going to definitely happen, but a potential for some poor drainage area flooding, as we've seen these storms kind of training over the same area day after day after day. Go back, this air mass came in last Saturday and Sunday, so some spots have seen 3-4 inches of rainfall already. And the way the weather pattern is setting up, we'll take a look at the jet stream here in a few minutes. We may continue to see this with the wet soil around here. Now, that does lead to some potential problems, not immediately, but even going further down the road, as there is a potential tropical system that I'm kind of eyeing and possibly could develop. Not saying it's going to affect us, but if you remember the setup we saw with Floyd, we had a lot of heavy rainfall ahead of it. Of course, that was from Dennis, excuse me. But the potential is there if, and this is a big if we were to get a tropical system coming in first or second week of July, that could exacerbate the situations, kind of like what we saw with Floyd. Again, I'm not forecasting it. I'm not saying it's going to be exactly the same. But it is a concern of mine that we're headed into a tropical season here with a lot of water in the ground. Let's just put it that way. That's something we can expand on later. And as I said, it is going to be a wet weekend for us here. Again, the main threats that we need to alert you to are from the heavy downpours and also the lightning. Not so much concerned about tornadoes today. We just don't have the shear in the atmosphere to get those thunderstorms rotating. But some damaging wind gusts, a wet microburst, not completely out of the question. Maybe some small hail. And again, it is going to be the potential there for the heavy rainfall like we've seen the last several days. Sunshine, though, initially gets us into the upper 80s and low 90s. And once that sea breeze front does press inland, which is going to be the impetus for the storms, behind it, looking fairly nice, talking about mid to upper 80s at the beaches. It is going to be windy, no doubt about that. Maybe a spotty shower right along the coastal sections tonight. Otherwise, though, we're going to be looking at another warm, muggy night with partly cloudy skies. And then we'll do it again over the day tomorrow with showers and storms scattered about upper 80s, low 90s, feeling more like the mid to upper 90s when you factor in the humidity levels that we are going to be dealing with. All right, let's talk about what generates thunderstorms here. And you can kind of see our little example here. What happens is we actually get what's called charge separation. That positive and negative ions in the cloud actually separate, going to the top to the bottom. Positive ions go to the top of the cloud. Negative ions go to the base of the cloud. Now, what we're also looking at is, though, underneath that cloud, you get a buildup of positive ions. So, just as you would say, opposites do attract. And what you see is this conduit is formed in the atmosphere between positive and negative ions, creating this channel for the lightning bolt to strike. And you can get multiple flashes down that conduit once it does actually form. Now, the next question is, okay, how do you judge how far away that lightning bolt and thunderstorm is? Well, it really depends on what we call the flash to bang rule. Is a quick, easy way to do it. Every 5 seconds is a mile. This is a misconception. It's not every second. It's every 5 seconds. It has to do with the way that speed of light travels faster than the speed of sound. So, you see the flash, you start counting until you hear the bang. Now, if you see the flash and immediately hear the bang, so you're 5 seconds or under, that means that lightning storm is right on top of you. So it's no time to play around. And there's another even more dangerous bolt of lightning we need to alert you to for Lightning Safety Week. We call it the positive flash. So here's our schematic as far as the thunderstorm is concerned yet again. Positive ions at the top of the thunderstorm. And you've got the lightning bolts going underneath of it. But notice that area of negative ions out ahead of the thunderstorm? Yeah, the lightning bolt potentially can actually come from the top of the thunderstorm cloud, the anvil top, if you will. That can go up to 15 miles out ahead of the storm itself. So a lot of times I refer to this as lightning out of the blue. And it is usually 10 times more powerful than the normal, if you wanted to call them, run-of-the-mill lightning bolts that come out of the base of the thunderstorm itself. So that's something you want to keep in mind of. These are kind of rare, but they do happen every once in a while. It is a phenomenon that we can observe. All right, let's get to the nuts and bolts on our forecast here. We are going to be tracking a strong trough digging into the upper Midwest and the western Great Lakes, and that is going to be the main forecast that we're going to be dealing with here. In fact, this is what it looks like at the jet stream level. We are watched the split of the ridge here. Remember the upper level ridge that was over us the last week? Well, one piece is going out here into the western Atlantic, the other one sitting back out over Florida or over Texas in the desert Southwest. This we need to watch, because watch how things change here as we go on through the weekend and going into the week next week. Notice the trough comes in, and kind of the lee side trough is what we're seeing, upper level ridge back over the Rockies with high level heat source thunderstorms out there. But look where this southwest Atlantic ridge is migrating to. It's actually headed northbound, and that is key, because as we go into the weekend, the North Atlantic is basically blocked. The progression cannot be off the coast here because you've got the upper level ridge basically blocking it. So this storm is actually going to be forced down into the Tennessee Valley. What that then does is send up a conduit at the jet stream level of warm, moist tropical air streaming right out of the Gulf of Mexico right up to this system. The front's only going to be able to get so far before it eventually washes out because of this roadblock basically being thrown in the western Atlantic. So we are going to be looking for this surge of warm, moist tropical air coming right out of the Gulf of Mexico, and that potentially could cause some problems in here. Again, as we get this prolonged period of heavier downpours each day, in any given spot potentially could pick up a half to 3/4 of an inch of rainfall each day. You see that over 7 days, that's going to start causing some problems. So here's what Future Track shows. Mid to late morning hours, action starting to develop along the sea breeze front, and then it kind of pushes its way inland. Again, any storm could have some heavy downpours associated with it. Partly cloudy skies at worst, warm and muggy overnight tonight. And then we see maybe a spotty shower along the beaches with more thunderstorm action getting going in here from the sea breeze front tomorrow. Now notice the pattern starts to change. Late tomorrow into the evening hours, that's that upper level trough starting to dig in. So we'll start to progress action from west to east, starting to get those storms in here ahead of that front, and that's what we're going to be dealing with as we go in through Friday. So your planning forecast does show that showers and thunderstorms all the way through the weekend into early next week. Again, not an all-day washout for the next couple days. The weekend, that may be a different deal. More cloud cover around, cooler temperatures, but still as high as dew point air, if not even a little bit more with that surge coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. Hot, humid, and wet. Those are the words that we are tracking for the next several weeks here, or next several days going into next week. Have yourself a good Wednesday. I'm Storm Track 12 meteorologist Les Still.